Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast with less combined muscle mass than a single Matt Holliday forearm. My name is Nate
Uh,
Heininger, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host Ben Samorka.
Hello, everyone. I'm yoked, bro.
Still, even so,
Oh no, it is.
yeah,
I think that's the number one thing I'm most excited about this season is the forearms.
they're back, baby.
Thank God.
Yeah, we needed it.
I have a reason to watch now. I have a reason to get up in the morning and a reason to watch.
Yeah, same. And besides those forearms, we are going to be talking about the other new members of the coaching staff, some recent Cardinal roster moves, and some news and notes from around the league. If you have an idea for the opening joke, tweet us at Talk About Birds. Uh, Ben, it's pretty wild, like totally unprecedented. But
Yeah.
can you believe they canceled the World Series?
um, I mean, honestly, it was the right thing to do. If you look at the climate,
Yeah, with
the Twitter of it all, the
Elon
economy.
Musk,
Yeah.
out
Um,
there.
yeah.
Wow, topical.
The the trade wins.
You
Um,
El Nino.
I think it's actually La Nina this year.
Well,
So,
even better. I'm even
yeah.
more important that they canceled the World Series.
Yeah, but, yeah, I think, when you look at everything, when the chips are on the table, when
Yeah,
you the hens come home to roost, when, the
you played a
wolf.
hard nine.
Yeah,
Once you've put in the work.
yeah.
Yeah.
At the end
How
of the day
how much longer can we keep this?
I could do a whole ep like that.
I know. Well, the one thing everyone was pretty united on not wanting to happen this
Yeah,
year, at the beginning of the year, frankly, like I think if you pulled baseball and you said, "What's the one thing you don't want to happen this year?" I think everyone outside of Texas would have said,
yeah.
"I don't want the Astros to win the World Series." And well, it was a good run. You and I last spoke right at peak Phillies looking like they could do
Yeah,
it. And then and then that night they got no hit. And it really never they never really came back from it all, which not surprising. I think it's a perfect representation of the Phillies that they both made it to the World Series and also got no hit in the
yeah,
World Series. That makes that's like the variance of it all. Like they got so lucky that everything came together exactly right for them so many times in their insane team construction that it had to swing the other way at some
yeah.
point, and it swung the other way so hard that they got no hit in a World Series game. It's
Yeah,
pretty incredible.
yeah, you're I think you're kind of positing like the baseball gods were like maybe fell asleep at the wheel for a month or so and then kind of woke up and then they got no hit and that's kind of how that went down. And also like not to take away from the Astros, we talked about it. The Astros have like a fantastic pitching staff and one of the best bullpens in recent memory, like top to bottom pitching staff, bullpen, all that stuff. Um, but you know what? I don't care about combined no hitters. No hitters have kind of lost their luster over the past
Wow.
couple of years. Like obviously, I'm going to be amped next time the Cardinals throw a no hitter because it's been such a long time, like what, like 2001 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll be really excited for that. But I do think no hitters, I don't care so much. The offensive environment, the how hard pitchers throw, blah blah blah, and then you add the combined no hitter, and how am I supposed to care about that? Like I was sitting there watching it. I was at that wing deal with Steven, and there was an Astros fan behind us he was very into it. Um, but I just like I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I jaded? Or do you care?
Um, I have to be honest with you. You said that wing deal, and my
Yeah.
mind just started
Yeah.
running. So can you please remind me and the listeners what you mean when you say that wing deal?
It's there's this Missouri bar kind of by my house called Stoney's, and they do it's unlimited wings on Wednesday nights. So we
In
watch.
this economy,
I know.
unlimited wings.
Although, you know what? Because of this economy, it's only boneless wings that are unlimited, and if you do the bone in, it's BOGO. So
Oh,
I'm just doing the bone
so
in BOGO, which is not a great deal,
okay.
but not
So they're
as good of a
giving
deal.
yeah, you got unlimited chicken nuggets,
Yeah, yeah,
or
exactly.
you've got boneless, or you've got wings.
Yeah,
I mean, buy
yeah.
one, get one's nice.
It's a great deal. I mean, it's more wings than I had, before walking in there, so that alone is good.
Every time I buy one, I hope to get one. So
Yeah.
that deal makes sense. Um,
What?
I don't know, buy one, get one. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's that's
It's a
the
phenomenal value. Yeah. It's
well, I mean,
50% off.
I'm just thinking, no, you just buy one and you get one.
Oh,
Like
okay. Can we move on? I had chimichurri wings this week. They were good.
Oh, yeah, how was that? They were good?
They were
Okay.
good, yeah. They had a little
Uh,
sprinkle of, cheese on them too. I was like, "Cheese and wings and chimichurri? Wow."
that feels excessive, but also probably fantastic.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
like a chimichurri sauce. I don't get it very often, but,
Well,
you know, when available, I'll dabble.
will you? Doesn't sound like it. I'm actually questioning if you know what
I I
chimichurri is.
made I made a chimichurri sauce not that
Oh,
long ago. We made
that's
a
cool.
steak
Wow.
and had a chimichurri sauce on the side.
Silver
Fill
spoon Nate over here
did a
making
little
steaks. Jesus. Wow.
go down to Schnucks, grab myself one of those $6.50, 8-ounce strip steaks.
You can
Yeah,
get beef for that cheap? Wow.
if you're couponing, my dude.
Oh my god. Can we stop the episode? I hate this. I wanna talk about the World Series. I
Alright,
I
no
asked you a
hitter.
question.
Yeah, no
I asked you
hitter.
a question.
How do I
Jeez.
how do I feel about
Ugh.
a combined no hitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I guess I haven't thought about it that much, but now that I'm
I bet
thinking
you
about
love
it,
them, you sick freak. You're
no,
eating your steak, you're sitting back, and you're like, "Bring another pitcher in."
yes, yes, strike him out. Oh, I got chimichurri in my pants. No, I think I agree with you. I think, like, the moment was interesting, and I was thinking a lot about I hadn't thought about it in a baseball gods side of
Yeah,
things, but, like, I did think it was pretty interesting that, like, of all teams, of all the situations, I thought it was pretty funny and pretty interesting that the Phillies got no hit. But as far as, like, the accomplishment of it all, I didn't walk away going like, "Oh my god, this is what a World Series game. This is
right.
World Series history." Because yeah, I think a combined no hitter is a significant step down as far as like historical relevance and general excitement than an actual end to end individual no hitter, which I do
Yeah,
think is still uh, a compelling and enjoyable thing to watch. But yeah, combined no hitter, it's cool, but it is what it is.
yeah,
So yeah, I guess I don't care that much about a combined no hitter, but it was funny that it happened to the Phillies. And then the Astros kind of just ran away with it, which
yeah,
is what we all expected. They are a like stupid baseball machine.
yeah,
I did want to ask you, like, there's some time now between the cheating scandal and
sure.
this team, and most of the major players, but not all of them, but like a
Right.
lot of the major players are not even on the team anymore, right? Um, and like Altuve seemingly maybe had nothing to do with it, though he was obviously aware of it. How could you not be? But like,
Yeah,
I think I it's fun and easy for me to hate the Astros,
right.
and, like, the cheating thing is one piece of it, but there's also, like, for Cardinals, there's, like, the long-term just rivalry of them used to be in the
Mhm.
Central. There's
The Killer Bees years,
the
yeah.
Killer Bee, and then there's the Correa and
Yeah,
Luhnow, like, there's a long enough history that, like, I think frankly, the cheating thing at this point is actually maybe not even the predominant Like, I don't know what the biggest ingredient in my stew of disliking the Astros is, but,
Yeah.
like, it's
Well, I
how do you feel?
yeah, I mean, I think I hate the Astros for many reasons. I think I hate them from the spirited rivalries and the days of, the summer of Carlos Beltran and the many years of Lance Berkman and El Caballo and Roy Oswald and Brad Lidge, and those were good, hard fought games, and that's all great. And then obviously they, moved leagues. They stole one of our front office people. Not stole. They hired one of our front office people, and then they did something that makes me hate modern baseball, and that is tank to a degree that is like unprecedented before the Astros did what the Astros did. And that by that I mean like multiple 100 loss seasons,
Yeah,
running a payroll in the absolute dumpster for one of the largest markets in baseball, and then to build their team up after that. Now I'll give them credit. They deserve credit for going and finding Bregman and Correa, and Altuve came out of nowhere, and they made a great trade to get Yordan Alvarez, and their pitching is all homegrown, and they've done a good job. They've pulled the right levers. But I do think that there is something, kind of, it's just not it's not the idea of saying to your fan base, we're going to take 5 years off from being competitive so that we can reset. I hate that. And I think
yeah,
that all sports, including baseball, should do everything they can to dissuade owners and management from making that call and penalizing them. And look, like, they are still being rewarded for what they did. They
yeah,
now, I will reiterate, they have filled those guys in. They have made the right moves. They've gotten to the World Series twice. Um, and I guess the final point, or the other part of the hate that I have, is that the lack of contrition that was shown not only during, like, the Bregman hitting a home run on a curveball that he knew was coming, and then go walking up to the camera and flexing and smirking into the camera, that will forever sit with me as you suck.
yeah,
Especially with hindsight, the lack of contrition from him, Correa, Altuve actually did seem legitimately shooken up by it. He seems like he's like a big old softy. So
yeah,
like, but the kind of attitude that they came out with, when they really should have just, if I was them, I would have just came out, put my head down, and played hard, and let it all roll off. You can go back in the clubhouse and be all pissed off about the fans getting on you or whatever, but like, the only thing you can do there is come out and play well and shut up. But
yeah.
then
Would
we're also like at this stage where we're so far away from it now. It's 2017. Like, half of the league, probably actually 2/3 of the league, has former at 2017 Astros players on. Like, am I gonna boo when the Jays come to town? Am I gonna boo George Springer? Probably not. Like, it seems like it's now just focused on Bregman and Altuve, and again, rightfully so. But it's there, you know what I mean? Like, the team is sprinkled
yeah.
throughout the league. Like, I don't know. It's a weird
Well,
thing.
we the fan base did properly take care of Jeff Albert, so, there is we at least did our part.
Yeah, thank God.
Go back to our previous episode if you, think I'm being serious about that. Yeah, I agree. There's way more to it than the cheating thing, and I think, like, I
Oh,
think if you
also,
wanna
sorry, to
yeah,
add one more thing, like, Altuve winning the MVP that year also should fuel the fire for the hate. Like,
yeah,
who say whatever you want about how much he was individually affected by it, but the team was affected, which gave him more ample opportunity to do better things, score more
right,
RBIs, score more runs, all that stuff. And for him to win the MVP, it's just all this big mishmash of like, how am I supposed to like the Astros?
yeah. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to like the Astros. I think,
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I think it is, they are the most hated team, and I think they will be for a while. I was just wondering, like, how much do you still think about the cheating aspect of it, especially from, like, a lens of a Cardinals fan,
Yeah.
where we have a lot of reasons to hate the Astros, and we don't necessarily
Yeah.
need the cheating.
Yeah, and I guess to answer that more specifically, like, I don't think I care about the cheating so much anymore. Also, like, it pretty much seems like as we learn more and more that a lot of
Everyone
teams
was,
were doing
yeah.
things similar to, so like, I don't know what the Cardinals were doing and what they weren't doing, but glass stones, throwing
Don't
stones in a
throw
glass
glass
house.
stones. Yeah.
So like,
Uh,
I kind of want to just move on from that, and like, it's more they're at it. Like, I just they just they grind my gears.
Yeah, wow. Please keep the language. Let's not get too crazy
I
here
know, I'm
today.
sorry. It's a family
Um,
show.
on your yeah. Um, on your point about tanking, I do think that's an interesting one. We some of the Cardinals' biggest foils over the last few years, the last decade, have basically been the direct products of that tanking methodology. The Red Sox under Theo Epstein,
Yeah,
and then the Cubs under Theo Epstein, and
right,
then the Astros now under their ownership group. So I mean, I do think it's getting a little bit better. To the credit of those groups, at least their tanking did result in dynasties for the Astros, not dynasties for the other groups, but at least it
right.
resulted in championships for those other groups. So that like bargain they tried to make with their fan base did pay off, and I bet most fans would accept that deal in hindsight, knowing that they get that championship. Because I think about like all the teams that keep tanking over and over and over and just staying bad.
Right.
So I guess like at least that they were successful at it. But I agree. Like I don't know if we're really seeing it as much anymore too. I think some of the changes have helped with that, and
Yeah.
some I do think that there was a backlash enough to it that like we're not seeing it as much as we were before. We're just seeing like shitty organizations that continue to be bad.
Yeah.
But that is different. It's different
Well,
than going out there and saying like we're being bad on purpose. The Marlins at least have the I don't know, foresight or the maybe ignorance to say like we're gonna win this year,
yeah.
even though they clearly are not.
Yeah, and again, I think, like, that needs to be hit again, like, the Astros did that, and they capitalized on it, and then they have put a sustainable product for I mean, that was 2017. It's, they just won the 2022 World Series. Like
Yeah,
that's a long window. I think Dynasty is a stretch, but they've also done smart things like they've held on to players. They have courted players like Justin Verlander. They have traded for and fixed players like Garrett Cole. Charlie Morton is another name that they kind of built up. Now, whether that was via spider tack or not, there's that's the other thing
yeah.
is that they're like I, I don't know, like to what degree are they just egregious and everybody's doing the same thing, but they're just the ones that are going to push it that extra 5%, and then we
They get caught and
speculate. Yeah.
yeah.
But no, I mean, they're obviously doing something smart. Like James Click, their current GM, like there was he just got extended 1 year. There was talk of him not coming back, which was like absolutely insane to me. He has built a monster. Like the
Yeah, I
pitching alone, like why would you not? Or here a way to contextualize that really quick is like the Mets are going to be paying $20 million for Edwin Diaz next year, and James Click built a entire bullpen that was as good as it gets for like a quarter of that cost, or maybe like a third of that, or 2/3 of that.
yeah.
Something like that, like the whole bullpen. So I don't know. I'll stop talking.
Well, I do think maybe Dynasty is too early, but I think that's what this is going to be. But I think that winning a championship in baseball is you know, particularly hard.
Yeah,
And so like I think what you measure a dynasty as might have to be a little bit different nowadays than
yeah,
like the Braves of the 90s or whatever, where they won multiple in a short period of time, like especially with the expanded playoff
mhm,
system. And until now with the Astros winning, we were talking about it last week. Like the last 9 World Series in a row have been a different team, and
yeah,
this is the first time we've had a repeat. And I think that just speaks to the randomness of baseball and a short series. So I think if you recalculate your dynasty, like we have 2 dynasties going on right now, and it's the Dodgers and it's the Astros. But
yeah. Yeah, I guess like that's a good point because like there's all this random aspect of being in the baseball playoffs, but how many times have the Astros made it to the CS or the World Series in the past 5 6 years? Yeah, I think you're probably right now that I'm chilling out a little bit and thinking about that a little more level headed, like
I
just
don't
getting
want
that
them to
deep.
be a dynasty.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
no, they are. They are, and they've had a lot of brain drain, and they've had a lot of talent lose, and they're still good. Like Carlos Correa is going to get paid like $200 million this year. um, and go to another team. And like they can just lose that guy, and Jeremy Pena comes in and wins World Series MVP. You know,
Yeah.
it's I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good.
Stupid Astros. All right. Well, anyway.
Jose
Uh
Altuve did not have an RBI all off season or all postseason.
yeah, suck it, Altuve.
Not that we care about RBIs that much, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean it does. Yeah, you would expect to win if you win the World Series, a core piece of your offense would at least have one just
Yeah.
out of randomness. So, all right, well let's talk about the Cardinals now. I think
Yeah.
we're done kind of bitching about the
Oh,
Astros.
yeah,
We're
goodness.
not done, but
No.
true art is never done. But we're moving on from now.
I think I needed to
Um,
get that off though. That I do feel better.
yeah, good. Let this podcast be your therapy. That's what people like to listen to. Um, Now I guess like the biggest news drop for the Cardinals since we last recorded is we went from having no coaches. So now we have all of the coaches.
Yeah.
It's done. Clearly the Cardinals do not like having openings in their staff, and they it's almost as if they like were prepared for this. And I guess you probably always are. You
Yeah.
never know with your those top level coaches. And I assume they had some inkling that Maddox was going to step away. And so the only one that's probably really was a shock was Jeff Albert. So
Right.
we've got some big news. I think the biggest one, whether it'll actually have the biggest impact or not, but the one that's the most fun for Cardinal fans, and particularly I know for you and I, uh, one of our favorite Cardinals of all time, Matt Holliday,
Yeah.
is back. And he is now the bench coach,
Yeah.
which is an important position. So he and his whole family are all baseball coaches. This isn't very surprising.
Right.
Like, yeah, he's coached at OSU. He's got baseball has been his in his family, and now his son is like the next, new
Yeah.
thing. Like it runs in their blood. So not surprised that he's entered into the major league coaching staff. I was a little surprised that, he went straight to like bench coach for the
Mhm.
Cardinals. That's a pretty big jump. But I'm excited. I mean, it'll be interesting because he's kind of already said that he's not a big analytics guy.
Right.
And that is not very in line with what we expect the Cardinals to be prioritizing right now. But I think the bench coach is more there just as like a foil to whoever the manager is. So like, maybe he'll just be there to sort of bounce ideas with Ollie. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the hiring of Matt Holliday?
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with what you're saying. Like, and I watch, he did a hit on one of the baseball shows, interview shows on MLB Network. And I think, I guess the couple of things I've taken away from that is that he has said multiple times that him and Ali are like best friends. They
Yeah.
talk all the time. So I'm guessing that even if he isn't super analytically inclined, he will fall in line and agrees with the way in which Ali plans on kind of managing the team and like employing all the levers and all that. So I think I'm not so worried about that. What gave me a little bit of pause was that when he was on the interview, they were asking him like, so what are you going to do? What's your role going to be? And he's like, oh, well, we haven't really talked about that much. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. And you kind of think that like when Skip was interviewing for the role or they were talking about that, I imagine Skip showed up with like a binder. And now I don't know this to be true, but they all talk about his preparation and his just like detail oriented nature. And I'm not sure that Matt Holliday is that guy. I think the good part of it is that he will come in and immediately be respected by the entire team. Not that like Skip wasn't or other people haven't, but like he's Matt Holliday. He has a red jacket. Like he is, on the wall. He's Matt Holliday. Everybody
Yeah.
knows who that is. He is friends with half the roster, and the other half of the roster looks up to him. So I think it makes sense to me in the sense that if he is going to be the one that's going to be explaining these complex analytical ideas in a more simple baseball player way, that the players are going to listen to what he's saying, right? Like if Matt Holliday says it, they'll probably take it as gospel. So that's a good thing that you have a mouthpiece from the front office going to the players, and the players should be responding to it. Outside of that, like the other thing that I thought was interesting is, we've been complaining about Cardinals player development, and obviously he's not going to be focusing on the pitching side. It's going to be position player, I would guess, like fully, but he's been working with his kids and he's been working at a college, like you just talked about. So his whole thing has been trying to make young players better. Um, and the Cardinals have a lot of young players. And if he's, in Dylan Carlson, Juan Yepez's ear, Alec Burleson, Jordan Walker, if that is what he does, all on board for that. If he's just
Yeah.
focusing on developing those guys and then obviously being the in-game guy when, the games are being played, that all sounds good to me. But obviously, like, he's never done this. I don't know where our expectations really should be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point because I was thinking about Skip too. And, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, like the coaches that are the most successful are the guys who got there in professional baseball through like outworking and outsmarting everyone. And that usually doesn't sustain very long in the majors
Yeah.
because just at the end of the day, the like true freaks of physical talent will win because it's athletics. But like there is a path into professional sports for the guy who just outplays everyone all the time. And that was Skip Schumacher,
Wait,
like
if
he
you have like 1,000 plate appearances and your WAR is like 0.4, you're going to be a coach or a manager or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's all those stories of those guys who like failed miserably at being a coach because they could not connect with the players because they just they're like, just do it, just go up
Right.
there and hit a home run. They couldn't explain their thought process because they didn't necessarily have one outside of like what worked exactly for them and got them
Right.
there. Whereas like a guy like Skip has to like basically understand every approach, figure out exactly the right one for himself and apply it perfectly or else he's going to fail.
Right.
And I think Matt Holliday's more in the other camp of
Mhm.
he's a tree person and he is well, I think that's enough. He's a tree
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So like, what is it? Why would a team that has primarily focused on analytics hiring, they fired their previous manager for some seeming some difference between the front office and him, like very much looking for a very specific thing in the or in the dugout. Why Matt Holliday?
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I hadn't really thought about that. Um, I don't know that the Cardinals care too much about that, like a leader of men thing anymore. I think Mike Matheny might have hurt that a little bit or ruined that. But
I
the like idea of working with the younger people makes sense to me, and
yeah,
that is what he's been doing.
and I think it's more like leader of men, blah blah blah. I think it's more credibility. Like
Yeah,
he has credibility, and that's kind of more what like there were stories of Matt Carpenter not wanting to make adjustments and change things when he was with the Cardinals, and that didn't happen until he was fired, basically. So like I think that is more where I'm coming from rather than like he's Matt Holliday. You just listen to him. It's more like this guy's been successful for a long time. He's
yeah.
beloved in this city. He is beloved by the organization. Maybe what he says you should do.
He's
Um,
wearing super stylish glasses now. Like, respect that.
you like those?
I think he's leaning into a new look.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, sure. It's fine.
Both of our wives are super excited that Matt Holliday is
Oh,
back in the
that's a fact. I
dugout.
mean, like, we'll just break it down. Like, the man can fill out a uniform. I usually like you're looking at Mike Schilt in a uniform. I'm not trying to body shame anybody, but looking at that guy compared to Matt Holliday, it's just it's the way God
Yeah.
intended.
The thing with Mike Schilt that always made me laugh is like he wore his hat so low
Yeah.
and he had such like a flat brim to it. Like he it was such a strange look. And then you take his hat off and you're like, oh yeah, he's just
Normal looking guy.
look
Yeah.
normal looking guy, but he's
Yeah.
like looked like a weird troll.
Yeah. He's just
Like
not a baseball player. That's
no.
that's nothing wrong with that. Me neither.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. I do think I could probably fill out a uniform better than Shelty though. Uh,
Low bar. All
yeah.
right. Um, yeah, so I guess it there's gotta be a thought process behind it to bring in this guy. I think you're probably right. It's definitely something with the youth,
Youths.
and
Yeah, I
the
mean, he's been
youths.
working with 18 to 22-year-olds for the past couple of years, like, that right? That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I hope that's what it is.
and Marmal himself is only like 24 or 25 or whatever. So
He's just out of college.
yeah. All right. So other movement, the rest. Lesser known names
Yeah,
than Matt Holliday. But if you follow the Cardinal sort of internal coaching staffs, like most of these guys have been known.
yeah,
So start with Turner Ward. He's been promoted to the new hitting coach.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
I think they're Paul Goldschmidt likes him. He's got the Paul Goldschmidt stamp of approval. They've worked together for years in the Diamondbacks. I know that Turner Ward spoke extremely highly of Jeff Albert and has been, the word guru has been used on him. So, you know,
my this is the least surprising of all of these to me, is because the Cardinals, by all accounts, really liked what Jeff Albert was doing,
right.
and it was Jeff Albert's plan, his own choice to leave. So it makes sense to just be like, all right, who was the next most Jeff Albert of the crew? We're
Yeah,
not trying to do anything new. We just need to keep the system that we have running going.
yeah,
So, all right, Turner Ward, bring him up. Let's
makes
see what
sense.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? We've got Dusty Blake,
Yeah.
now the pitching coach. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Dusty Blake?
I think this is something to be excited about. Kind of talking the same way that we're kind of talking about Matt Holliday, obviously less like major league pedigree, but Dusty Blake kind of made his name as the pitching coach for Duke. And over the 3 years that he was there, he like basically took their pitching staff from being middling to the best in their league. Now that's college, but the reason that I'm excited about that is because we've been complaining all year about the Cardinals' inability to develop a pitcher. I have to imagine a guy who's coming from a college coaching program and is, I should caveat that with he's been in the Cardinal system for a couple of seasons now, but that's kind of where he came from, pitching development. That's who I want at the big league roster. Adam Wainwright doesn't need development. Adam Wainwright needs to, watch video and make sure his extension is where it needs to be. But I want Dusty Blake talking to Jack Flaherty, talking to Matthew Libator, figuring it out, improving their pitches. He's very he is very up on TrackMan, the various like high tech tools around spin rate and able to break that down to players. And like I said, the idea that he is coming from the educational background that he's coming from, I think is a slam dunk. I think this is the exact direction the Cardinals need to be in. It is essentially the opposite of Maddox. Um, so I think it's great.
Yeah,
Super
I think it's
excited.
yeah. Mike Maddox, super respected. Obviously, pretty good at maintaining developed pitchers, but there was some gap, and I don't know if it's on him or the minor league or whatever. It's so hard to identify. Could be drafting. Cardinals just
Yeah.
just not managed to draft a guy that is truly next level, but we'll never know. But I think taking a different approach, it makes a lot of sense. So I guess we'll see. I mean, with all these things, coaches, usually takes time for the impacts to happen, and success can be pointed to a lot of different things, and failure can be pointed to a lot of different things. But it seems to me that there was at least a good thought process around these promotions.
Yeah.
We've got a couple assistant coaches, which is even harder to
Yeah.
to really point to for anything. But
Yeah.
just to round out our coverage of it, Brandon Allen is now an assistant hitting coach. He was with AAA and then with Memphis, and then Julio Rangel, previously a member of the Red Sox coaching staff.
Ron
So
Howell?
Ron Hell,
Never
we are
heard of him.
so good. We're so good at research. Yeah.
Hey,
So
yeah, we
yeah,
just read the name, never heard it out loud. Whatever.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, you got to have these guys. I hope that they're great, and maybe they're the future coach. As Twitter bullies or whatever Mastodon bullies
Yeah.
Turner Ward into early retirement. Maybe we'll see one of these guys.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is those first 3 names though. Like let's be excited about them.
Yeah.
It's interesting change and we talked about like a little bit last week like this is, Ali is putting his stamp
Yeah.
on the org a little bit. So let's see how it goes. I think other than the final 2 hours of his season, we were all pretty on board with Ali. So let's give him, let's give it to him.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it.
Still very, very much an Ali Marmol fan.
Yes.
So, all right. So we've got some other new moves happening. A few things have started happening now that the offseason has begun in earnest. We're past the big things with Arenado and Wayno, and now we're into the crunchy roster maintenance, roster movement, little moves before true like big free agency things happen. But let's start with the most speculative, most fun thing here. Ben, I'll give it to you.
Well, I think everybody knows that amazing Trey Turner video was going around the internet last week, which is awesome, I thought. And John Hamm was the narrator of it.
I
Obviously,
love that, John Hamm.
St. Louis Cardinal super fan and native. So it was kind of funny, I think, that he was narrating that video. Which, if you haven't watched it, go seek that out and find it.
Is he your
Uh,
favorite celebrity, John
is he
Hamm?
my favorite celebrity? No, I don't like any celebrities. They're all stupid.
But Ham.
Oh, God, that was so stupid. Yeah, Nate, he's my favorite celebrity because of the ham.
Thank you.
And
That's all I wanted. Yeah.
God. Um, what was I saying? Anyways, he made a point in Sports Illustrated this week to come out and say that he does not want Trey Turner to sign with the Dodgers, even though he made that hype video. He wants him to sign with the Cardinals, and I say yes. I think we should do that.
John Hamm doing the work.
Yeah,
Ben, I also think the Cardinals should sign the best free agent
yeah.
on the market.
Is he the best free agent though? I think he's the second best.
Who you saying is
Judge.
yeah.
You don't think Aaron Judge is
Uh
better?
ooh,
I think you're wrong, my friend.
that's an interesting question. Who will have the best next 5 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Judge.
It's probably Judge, but
Judge could put up half the WAR he put up this year and still had a better year than Trey Turner.
yeah, but yeah. But up until this year, Judge was all he was great, don't get me
Oh,
wrong,
yeah,
but
rookie of the
yeah,
year. Oh god,
yeah,
he's a home run derby champion.
only
Yeah.
50 home runs or whatever in his
Yeah.
rookie season
Yeah.
impressed me.
No, this is great. I think you're smart. You're right on with this.
I the Cardinals don't need an outfielder. Go get Trey Turner.
I think the Cardinals could use an outfielder. No, I think Trey Turner would be great. Honestly, I think any of the top 10, however you want to slice it, that's where the Cardinals should be shopping. We'll see if that happens. Katie Woo, if you read her article in the Athletic yesterday, she thinks that they're going to go for it. She thinks that the Cardinals are going to strike while the iron's hot. So I trust in Katie. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. I am not going to let them break my heart this offseason. I am predicting no movement.
I
They sign no one.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit off pod before we started recording. I think this is going to be a very spendy winter. I think everybody is seeing their pocketbooks fill back up after a huge year. We talked about how it's the numbers are back to 2019 numbers. Cardinals in particular jumping from limited capacity to 3.3 plus million in the stands. I think the Cardinals are going to spend. Now, is it the smartest idea for them to just go get Trey Turner and then like kind of stand pat? Probably not. But I don't know. We'll see. While we're talking about this, I want to throw out a target that I got for you, Nate. I'm curious to hear your thought on this. I think
All right.
Taylor Rogers should be a St. Louis Cardinal next year. I think they should give him like a 2 or 3 year deal, like 7, 8, 9 million a year, something like that. You get lefty coming out of the bullpen. He had a bit of a weird year last year. He got traded. But the guy strikes people out. He's a left-handed reliever. I think he would look really great. Him and Helsley and Gallegos kind of being the monster at the end of the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, I have been pretty supportive of the Cardinals adding at the back end of the bullpen. I think we talked about that last week. I guess I hadn't really thought past like just add bullpen arms. Taylor Rogers is interesting. I wonder if he'll want more than 7 or 8 per year. Um, I know you're right. He did have a weird year last year, but he's been generally pretty good for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So I could see someone giving him a little bit more than that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have like a hot take on that, but
Yeah.
I'm supportive of the general idea, whether it's Taylor Rogers or not.
All right.
I don't know.
Oh, I think that's what Cardinals should do. Let's get back to the outline. All right. Next thing I have here for you. This is a question I want you to answer.
Oh,
How should the Cardinals handle the final season of Paul DeYoung's contract?
well, I believe that the Cardinals should not handle the last season
Yeah.
of Paul DeYoung's contract. I hate to,
Like just cut him or what?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what we're still doing here with Paul DeYoung. Like,
Yeah.
what is the goal? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen that we haven't seen over and over and over? We talked about it with Tara when he came back and had that little streak of looking good again. Like it's either he's clicked in and he's hitting home runs, or it's nothing.
Yeah.
There is no like, oh, like, he's not crushing it, but he's serviceable. It's either he's hitting the ball really hard and he's locked in, or he's horrible. And we just have so many options now that I would rather see get those at bats than Paul DeYoung.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals have said, hey, we got a lot of money again. All right, cool. Well, cut Paul DeYoung. Like, I just don't, why him over Brendan Donovan? Every time you're giving Paul DeYoung at bats, you're taking at bats away from like a Brendan Donovan,
Yeah.
a Tommy Edman, um, just trying out Mason Wynn because why not?
Yeah.
Like there's so many people that make more sense to me. It used to be okay. Well, at worst, he's a Gold Glove shortstop, but is he really anymore? And are you really getting much more from him than we got from Tommy Edman? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I
It
think
just
his defense is steady Eddie. I don't think it's gold glovey or
right.
plus. It's
So what are
yeah.
we doing
Yeah.
here? Like, I don't know. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, and I always hate like
Yeah.
I hate like
Right.
railing on these guys and like,
Well, it
but
comes
like I
down
just
to sorry, it comes down to like you need to improve this roster. There's a big stupid hole on your 26 man is bad. And he's not really treated like a 26 man when he's on the roster. Like, yeah, no, I mean,
yeah.
I didn't think you were gonna say ship him out. But
I trade
yeah,
him for
yeah,
like I saw someone float trade him to the Angels for Max Stassi, who's not doing great either,
yeah,
and owed around the same amount of money, but at least like if Stassi was our backup catcher, then like he serves a better role than
sure,
Paul DeYoung as our backup, whatever he is.
right,
And like the Angels kind of need like a backup infield. Like, so you're just trading bad contracts for each other. If you
Ye-
could trade him to anyone for anything, I think you do it. But at the end of the day, I think you gotta cut him. And I know
yeah,
it's easy for me to say, but also he'll be fine.
yeah,
He's got like $80 million or whatever.
yeah,
He'll go and buy a used car lot and live in luxury for the rest of his life.
yeah,
So it's fine.
yeah,
I think Mo, we will not hold it against you anymore. Like I think Mo has this tendency to be like, well, we signed him, he's our guy, we're keeping him forever,
yeah,
and it's like, no, just it's time to move on.
yeah,
I this was going around a lot over the last week, right? Because Mozeliak was asked, "Who's your starting shortstop next year?" And he
yeah,
was like, Tommy Edman." And they asked, "What, Paul DeYoung?" And he's like, "Well, I think he's got something to show us." And it's like,
yeah,
no, he doesn't. And there's no way Mozeliak actually thinks that. This
yeah,
is like, and I saw other people saying this, so this isn't even my unique thought, but this is like how Mozeliak said Matt Carpenter is our starting third baseman, and then 2 days later traded for Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I don't think that the Cardinals are going to go into next season with Paul DeJong in anywhere near a role on this team.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think at
No, I think
best
you're right.
he's in the minors, and,
Yeah.
we go from there. So,
My prediction is that he's going to be on the Cardinals. He's going to show up to spring training, and he's like, I brought all my gloves. I can catch. I can play third, short, of course, second. I've even been trying in the outfield." And they're like, "Thanks, Paul." And he maybe breaks camp. I don't know. We'll see.
maybe he's a coach, you know?
Yeah. Hey, that actually makes a lot of sense. He's smart.
He's that type of guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and there were times I will always like Paul DeJong. There were times where he looked like the best shortstop in baseball,
Yeah.
but we can't keep chasing that.
Man,
He's
baseball is
he,
hard.
he's not getting any younger.
Okay.
I don't
All
know why
right.
I did that voice.
Yeah, that sucked. All right, we'll move on.
You
Um,
suck.
the last thing I wanted to hit in this little segment was I've just seen Lars Nootbaar's name thrown out a little bit in trade speculation and everything like that. And I'm not against trading Lars Nootbaar, but I worry that he is underappreciated in how good he is right now. And I think that I kind of just wanted to dip into what he did last season. Um, and just kind of like, oh, I guess what my worry is that if we did trade him for a catcher or something else like that, is that we wouldn't be getting the right value for him, because I think that while his result, he's still young, he's super like he has no pedigree, right? No prospect pedigree or anything like that. But I think if you really look at the year that he had last year, he was very, very good. So to illustrate that a little bit, I guess I'm just going to blabber on, and then you like interrupt me if I say something interesting or stupid, or I don't know,
Oh,
however
I
you
was
want
gonna
to
say if the threshold is say something interesting, then we're gonna be here all night. But
Okay. All right. So I'll just try to break this down. So really quick, and again, this is all just in this year. He had like 300 plus plate appearances, so all small, or small enough sample or whatever. But versus left-handed pitchers this year, he had 13 walks against 13 strikeouts, hit 273 on base percentage of 400, slugging 455 for an 855 OPS against left-handed hitters. Pitchers. He had slightly worse numbers, obviously, in a much larger sample size versus right-handed hitters. So really all I'm trying to say is that he doesn't really have split problems. I think that we can expect the right-handed numbers to go a little bit up because of the shift going away next year, and the left-handed numbers going down because that's just generally how it works. But what is more exciting is when you pull up his baseball savant page, and I'm just going to rattle off some high numbers really quick. He is the 90th percentile in average exit velocity. He is 89th in max exit velocity. He is 80th in hard hit. He is 98 in walks. He is 92 in chase rate, 85 in barrel, 94 in arm strength. Like all of like you and I are looking at the same thing right now. Everything is red or light red on his baseball savant page. Like he is the numbers didn't all add up, but he's doing everything a baseball player can do well.
well, so then I will throw this back to you because we have had a lot of conversations about this, and I feel like I have left him off of this list every time we've had this conversation, which is you and I both believe in Tyler O'Neill,
Yeah.
and we both believe in Dylan Carlson, and so we believe there's one outfield spot left for a starter. And I don't think we've even mentioned Newt when we've said Newt
Yeah.
Yepes, Burleson, Walker. That's four right there. Like,
Yeah.
why would we sign another outfielder if we have all four of we have six guys that we think are all major league outfielders?
Because Sean Murphy is going to cost an outfielder or two.
Okay, that changes the equation for sure. If you trade two or three of these six, then yes, obviously,
So, yeah, and all I'm really saying is like I think did you know what I mean though? I
Yeah,
feel like his value to his market value, his Cardinals value to his market value are not lining up right now, where I think that like a Nolan Gorman's Cardinals value and market value are probably 1 to 1 or pretty close to that,
right.
because he is a former high end prospect, or he still is a high, or however you want to quantify that. But he's got the Fangraphs articles, he's got all the eye popping numbers and all that kind of stuff. Like I think that if you were to go trade Nolan Gorman, you'd get more for your dollar than if you were to include Lars Nootbaar, is I guess what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Yeah.
I think that makes sense. And I think part of that too, though, is if you remember how his season went, is that it was very boom or bust.
Yeah.
And so those numbers all equal out to good numbers. But if you remember how it played out in the season, it was in the middle, like during the really dark times of the season, he was part of the reason.
Yeah.
He was struggling just like everyone else was, but struggling particularly terribly. And then during the crazy, like late August, early September run, he was one of the best hitters in baseball. We kept talking about like that run of Nootbaar, Goldie, Arenado, and Pujols was like, looked like the best four in baseball.
Right.
And then he fell off the face of the earth there near the end, right? And then kind of started turning it around near the as the season was wrapping up, and looked pretty good in the two games in the playoffs. But like, I think you could easily, if you wanted to, just wrap that all under like he had a couple incredibly hot weeks in the majors, and that lifted his overall season. That's why I think you would get that opinion that you're
Yeah.
getting, which is it's easy to hand wave away 300 at bats from a guy who has no pedigree. But so it kind of depends on how you want to view this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I wanted to bring up these are like, percentile
Statcast,
rankings,
yeah,
these are factual. They are, like luck is
yeah,
irrelevant in these. And while it is possible that a couple of hot weeks could give you a barrel percentage of, in the 85 percentile in the league, I mean, that's, those kind of things are hard to sustain over its 347 plate appearances is what it
yeah.
totaled out to. So,
It's not a small sample size, but
yeah,
uh, it's not a big one either. I mean, it's half a
yeah,
season,
yeah,
so yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Newt Bar. He's fun. He has all the other stuff that you
yeah.
want on a baseball player, which is he's fun,
Pepper
and
grinder.
he's got a big pepper grinder. Uh, so I suspect that there's a good chance that he is the opening day right fielder.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, we've got more to talk about. But before we do, as always, we got to remind our listeners that this show is supported on Patreon. Listen, we don't know what's happening with all of our favorite social medias.
Yeah,
Zuckerberg is collapsing Facebook into the metaverse.
yeah.
Elon Musk. What more do I need to say?
Hey,
So why not just ditch those things and come hang out with some rude dudes with attitudes?
oh,
And I don't know why I said that.
yeah. I thought you were
We're
gonna
actually
say like ditch
we're
those
not.
zeros and get with a hero. So I guess
That's
like,
not any better.
I
Rude dudes
mean,
with attitudes is way better than
is it?
I don't know. We're we're nice people. It's a nice place to be.
Okay.
If you subscribe to our Patreon at any level, you get access
The
to
wheels are coming off.
the the bird scored. It's our private Discord server where we're there chatting with other fans of the show and diehard baseball fans from around the world. And it's a really nice place. It's become even more active. We've been having a wonderful time. Shout out to our existing patrons. And we'd love to have you in there. So patreon.com/talking about birds. There's a bunch of different tiers and different things, but any level, we are really, appreciative, and a lot of work goes into this show. And if you want to support it, check it out. Also, you could go to your favorite podcast platform and leave us a nice review. That helps as well. If you're listening to the show but not engaging at all online, in any of these toxic places that we're all at, well, you should while they last. Ben, where can people find us online?
God. Ugh, yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at Talk About Birds. You can follow us on Instagram, Talking About Birds. If you want to email us, chat with us directly, thoughts, comments, musings, you can reach us at talkaboutbirds at gmail.com. If you watch the video of this that I put out here later, just Nate's looking really gray these days. I think we need to
Wow.
email him some tips and tricks for how to
I don't
fix
need
that.
any tips.
All right.
I'm leaning into it.
Okay. Yeah, and outside of that, thank you to all our supporters. And yeah, tell your friends. Grab phones, download the podcast, subscribe, all that stuff. Guerrilla marketing. Go for it.
We've got a whole slew of ideas for this off season that we hope you'll find entertaining and worthwhile. So
Yeah.
yeah, and hey, if we get the Patreon going enough, maybe we'll think about other like types of content and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And again, there's
um,
that tier $200 million will stop.
yeah, please,
Reiterate that.
someone.
Yeah.
We just need one subscriber at the $200 million level,
Yeah.
and we will stop the podcast.
Done.
Yeah, we'll go hang out with Paul DeYoung. Um,
I bet I could fix
uh,
Paul.
Fix him a nice drink.
Yep.
All right.
Oh man.
This is talking about birds after dark. All right. Speaking of a lot of money,
Yeah.
I feel totally vindicated in my perspective earlier in the
I
season.
know. I know.
You have to agree with me at this point. The guy who caught Albert Pujols' 700th home run sold it for $360,000.
Yeah.
I don't care how big of a Cardinal fan you are, how much you love Albert Pujols. Get that check. Sell the ball.
Yeah.
Pujols will be fine. Change
Yeah.
your life. Good for him.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
$360,000 for
Yeah.
catching a ball
Yeah.
at a baseball game.
Yeah. Would you quit your job?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. But I consider this podcast my job, so
Oh god. Yeah, that's a lot of guacamole. That'd be a lot of fun. Especially like you did it. You earned that money doing something that you were very excited to do.
yeah.
It's
Dude,
like
how
you went
many
down a roller coaster and somebody was like, "Here's a check, pal."
yeah. Here's how many wings we getting for
I mean,
360K?
buy one, get one. I mean, you're multiple chicken farms, generations of chickens will fall to your sword with that kind of money.
That is the worst part about eating chicken wings. One of my favorite foods is that
Yeah.
it's like just the amount of souls you're
Yeah.
consuming with every bucket. I've never gotten I
Oh
haven't
my
gotten them in a
god.
bucket.
All right,
But
we'll move
anyway.
along. Yeah. So just some Cardinals notes. I'll try to hit these quickly. We're going to maybe a little long, so I'll just run down these. Predictably, Paulie Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado are finalists for the MVP. I think it's Paulie's to lose. That's going to happen. President of Baseball Operations, John Mozeliak, said during last week's end of season press conference that there's concern about Ray's ability to meaningfully contribute in 2023, which that to me reads as like maybe step one of three of him not being tendered a contract. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We said this last week, but like I'm kind of okay with either decision,
Yeah.
you know? I trust they will make like the decision that makes the most sense, at least for right now. And like I really hope that Alex Reyes comes back and is a successful major leaguer. It would be cool if that's with the Cardinals, but if it ends up being with like the Twins in 3 years or whatever, like that's probably fine too.
Yeah. Yeah. Just disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was literally the best prospect in baseball at one point. And here we are. Moises Gomez, who broke a franchise record with 39 home runs in a single minor league season, spread across Memphis and Springfield this year, has been added to the 40 man to be protected from the Rule 5 draft, which I think is good and interesting. And you mean you talk about this outfield bloat, like
I was gonna say, here's another one.
yeah,
That's 7 now.
yeah. Yeah, well, are they going to trade away the good ones and hold on to the bad ones? I don't know.
I
The Cardinals have just been churning out outfielders for like 5 years plus at
We're
this
just
point.
populating the rest of the big leagues with all of
Really?
our outfielders. Yeah.
All right. And then in actually some transactional news, the Cardinals announced on Wednesday that they've acquired minor leaguer Jose Furman, um, not Freeman, Furman, from the Guardians in exchange for cash. I'd never heard of him before, but I found a little quote by Eric Longenhagen from Fangraphs. Furman, I keep wanting to say Freeman. Um, Furman doesn't swing and miss, but lacks passable big league physicality and is a better fit at second base than shortstop. So a light hitting second baseman that doesn't strike out. I don't, this is
I don't
just
know.
like, this is a weird move. Maybe there's something they like about him, but he's a Cardinal now. So here you go.
Yeah, I saw it just as organizational depth. I saw that going into the 2019 season, he was considered the best glove in the Guardians system.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just one of those guys you have in case everything falls apart. At
Yeah.
least you have a good glove at second base.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I'm
know?
guessing somebody in the front office was like, oh, this guy really doesn't strike out. And if you look at his numbers, he like almost walks more than he strikes out. So yeah, it's something to be
Yeah.
excited about.
Moneyball, baby.
I guess so.
What else you got? Anything? Any other notes from the Cardinals?
No, I said let's move on to the league stuff.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it. We were going to talk about the World Series in this section, but we kind of
Yeah.
ranted about the World Series already at the top. So, um, I think we mentioned it a little bit already, but James Click has been extended for a year, and Dusty Baker has been extended for a year.
Yeah,
Uh,
both 1 year deals. So they're gonna try to win another one and then probably be gone.
I guess Baker made sense to me. He should
Yeah.
be on 1 year deals. He
If I
should.
was Baker, I would retire, go out
I
on top.
really thought he was gonna
Yeah.
retire. Like, what a perfect ending,
Oh yeah.
Like, one of the big stories of this World Series was Dusty Baker,
Yeah.
and then how bad it seemed he was doing, and then, of course, they turn around and he wins, so, like, why not? He's, like, 98 years old. Just ride out, you know, like TLR,
Yeah.
until he until he came back.
Which was stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. We've got the first MLB draft lottery coming up on December 6th.
Yeah.
So not much more to add to that, but there's a whole slew of off-season deadlines and
Yeah.
and moments, and we'll try to keep everyone updated on those things
I
as they come
yeah,
along.
I'm like definitely curious to see how the lottery goes. Like the Brewers have a 0.6% chance of getting the first overall pick. Um,
Yeah.
like obviously that seems like it's not going to happen, but they still have a chance, which is kind of fascinating. So we'll be paying attention to that when that comes along.
I hope they don't get it.
Brave.
We already mentioned it, but the Mets signed Edwin Diaz to a 5-year, $102 million contract. That's a lot of
This
money.
Steve Cohen only could sign that contract. I think that is so silly.
I mean,
There's no way he was getting more than like 60 or 70 on the open market.
yeah, he's really good though. If there's anybody that's gonna get a 20 million a year contract as a reliever, it's Edwin
Yeah,
Diaz.
but like Aroldis Chapman was throwing 105 when he signed his deal and it wasn't that high.
Yeah. I think Chapman was older though. Diaz is only 28, right?
Yeah, that might be true.
So
Yeah.
this is you're getting the best reliever in the game at like for their prime.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can this could blow up in their faces, but it makes sense to me. Cohen has more money than
Yeah.
anything, so why not?
How much do you think the trumpets were a factor in signing that deal? That
It's at least I think it added a cool 15 million on
easy.
top of it.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What else? What else you want to talk about? I'll
Yeah,
turn it
the
over to you.
Baseball Hall of Fame. There's a contemporary ballot era. A contemporary baseball era ballot for the Hall class of 2023. And that so essentially, what's happening is that a special committee is being built to a vote on players who had not made it in the past decade. Some interesting names. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Albert Bell, Don Mattingly, Fred McGriff, Dale Murphy, Rafael Palmeiro, and Kurt Schilling are the candidates. And, like those guys should all probably be in the Hall of Fame. If you're just talking about numbers, it's really interesting. I'm curious to see who gets in there. It could be a messy induction ceremony. I don't like Barry Bonds. If he does get in on this committee, I feel like he is going to have the most like petty,
Yeah,
not hate fueled, but just the most petty Hall of Fame induction speech of all time. And then,
there'll be some pettiness for sure.
yeah, and outside of that, though, like Don Mattingly, Fred McGriff, those guys should definitely be in. Albert Bell should probably be in as well. But yeah, we'll kind of interesting. We'll see. It's a 16-member committee. They'll vote on December 4th. And any candidate receiving 75% or more of the ballot will earn an election. And I think some of those guys are going to get in.
Kurt Schilling is going to lobby to have his plaque put on the southern border wall that he wants to.
Ugh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll say that.
Yeah. Do you know who the 16 member group is?
Don't know now. I'm guessing it's going to be made of former players and writers, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I hope that they put Bonds and Clemens in and just rip the band-aid off. They should have been first ballot Hall of Famers. You and I've
Yeah.
talked about this a lot,
Yeah.
but um so all right. Well, that'll be interesting to see. Those guys, someone's gonna put them in. Is it gonna have to be 30 years from now when it's like the old timers committee or
Right.
whatever? Like they're gonna get in. And they should have been voted in the normal way.
Right.
I hope that this committee just puts them in, and people can be mad about it if they want, but like whatever, get
Yeah.
over it. There's drug users up and down the entire Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We're being very
Of
hypocritical
all
by
kinds of, yeah.
yeah, there's every
There's all
drug.
kinds of people in that. Yeah.
Yeah. The entire 80s,
Yeah.
everyone was on speed,
Yeah.
so and cocaine. So all right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this episode. We're going to do something a little different here at the end of the episode. Instead of playing one of our truly stupid games, we're going to do a little bit of a prediction contest. We do these sometimes. In between now and the next episode, we should have most of the major, if not all of the major award winners announced. So Ben and I are going to go down to make our predictions on who's going to win each award. I was thinking about it, Ben, to make it interesting, because I think we're going to have a lot of overlapping opinions on this.
Sure.
We're going to try to pick, we're each going to pick our like, how are the top three actually going to go in order?
Okay.
And we'll do points. So if you get like first overall correct, you get 3 points. Second, 2, third, 1. Does that
Yep.
make sense?
Yep.
All right. So we'll go through all the major races. I think we kind of go through this kind of quick, but we'll see where the conversation goes. So let's start with I'll start with the AL MVP. Let's just start right at the top of the ticket here.
Okay.
You've got Yordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge, and Shohei Ohtani are your candidates, your finalists.
Yeah.
We'll alternate. You go first on this one, and then I'll say mine, and then we'll flip.
Judge is going to be number one. He's going to win.
Yeah.
Durdoy, because I mean, I don't need to add flavor to that, right?
I mean, my hot take is it should still be Ohtani, but
Yeah.
I have to say I agree with you, Judge. My prediction is Judge will win,
Yeah.
but
It's just,
if
that's
I
just the way
were
it's going to go.
if I were a voter, I'd be voting for Ohtani.
Yeah.
Judge broke a record. Well, he broke the AL record
Right.
that has been broken multiple times in baseball already. And Ohtani, the only thing Ohtani has done is broken his own thing he did last year.
Right.
There's never been anybody like Ohtani,
Yeah.
and there may not ever be again. But I get it. 62 home runs is
It's
is
kind of
sexy.
boring, but yeah, that's just the way it is.
If he didn't also hit 330 or whatever,
Yeah.
then I would say this is like a lock for Ohtani. But like, don't get me wrong, Judge had an incredible season.
Yeah.
I just, historically speaking, I think what Ohtani is doing is more important than what Judge is doing.
But it's hard to be in New York.
It is hard to be in New York. What a poor guy, a poor tree person.
Yeah.
All right, so you got Judge overall. Who you got number 2?
Jordan. I mean,
Wait, you think Jordan is going to get number 2?
no, Shohei. Sorry,
Okay,
I'm looking at the wrong list.
all right. Yeah, I agree with you on this one. This is going to be a really boring segment if we disagree with each other on
I
all of
think
them,
we're
but
going to.
there might be some differences.
Yeah.
These top level ones, though. All right,
Yeah.
let's go to the NL MVP.
Okay.
We know this one. We've got Goldie, Arenado, and Machado. How fun is it to have 2 of the 3 be Cardinals? Like, it's been so long since we've had legit MVP candidates on the
Yeah.
Cardinals, like since Pujols, basically, and you got 2 of the 3 from the Cardinals in the same year. So, uh, you said Goldie already was your pick for number one earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going first on this one. I'm just going to run down it. I think it's going to go Goldie, Machado, Arenado. That's my prediction.
Well, I agree with you, but for the sake of this exercise that was well thought out, I'm going to say Goldie, Nolan, Manny.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the voters are going to pick Goldie, and then I think that because of that, even if Arenado maybe should be number two, I suspect there's going to be some like vote balancing, all that like weird gamification
Right.
people do in this stuff that like they shouldn't really do, but they do anyway. So, all right, wow, this is what incredible radio this is. All right, AL Cy Young. We're
Yeah.
getting interesting here.
Okay.
Ben, you're going first. Dylan Cease, Alec Manoah, Justin Verlander.
I think it's going
What
to
is your
JV.
yeah?
JV's going to get it. They're going to weigh the postseason, even though they shouldn't. But the comeback story, also, he was just dominant all year.
All right, so you got JV, and then who second?
Um, I'll go Manoa second.
Okay, and then Cease third.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
something about the AL East compared to the AL Central. I think that the voters will see it that way.
I think it's gonna be Cease second. He had a pretty incredible season. A season,
Yeah, just his competition is just crap. So
yeah, yeah. Manoah was pretty good, to put it lightly.
hot
All
takes, hot
right,
takes.
NL Cy Young. We got Sandy.
Yeah,
We got Max Fried from the Braves, and we've got Julio Urias from the Dodgers.
I think this is like a slam dunk if for me across the awards, but the amount of innings pitched and the complete games and everything like that, it has to go to Sandy for me.
Yeah, it certainly seems obvious at this point that Sandy's first overall. Pretty incredible season. And just in today's game, like the amount of complete games and whatnot, like people love that.
I love it.
Uh I love it too. Who you got for number two?
Number two, I will go. Oh, I like Max Fried. I'll say Max Fried. I like Max Fried.
All right. Max Fried, and so you got Julio as third. I think it's gonna go the other way around. I think Fried will get third, Urias will be second.
Wow.
Wow. I can't
I
wait to add up all this.
You're working hard over there.
I am. All right, AL Rookie of the Year. Steven Kwan,
Oh, love them.
America's favorite.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez and Adley Rushman.
This is actually good. I think I have to give it. Ah, that's actually tough. Okay, no, I got it. I'm gonna go Adley Julio.
Okay. All right. Adley, Julio,
I think
and
I mean, he
then
just changed the season and what the Orioles were. Like he is out of those players, he's the best of the three.
yeah.
Um, Now we'll see, how obviously like Julio contributed all year, but I don't know. That's where my money is. Like Adley's just a game changer. I
Yeah.
mean, Julio's
Um,
incredible too. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, I can't see Adley is awesome, and Adley might end up being the one from this list that like truly ends up being the like generational player. Um, I think there's been a lot of like Buster Posey comps and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and I get that. That makes a lot of sense to me. But Julio had almost a 30-30 season in his rookie year. He was really the face of the new look Mariners. While they didn't have a deep postseason run, they were still like super fan favorites, and what a likable guy too. The rookie or the home run derby, what a breakout, what a fun dude. I think it's going Julio, and then Adley, and then Stephen Kwan. I love Kwan. What
Yeah.
a great profile and type of player, but he's got to be looking at this being like, yep, look at us boys. top 3, it doesn't really matter what order we come in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quan's awesome though.
Um, I love Quan too. Uh, I think this one's kinda tough too. NL Rookie of the Year,
Yeah.
Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
How fun is that? Michael Harris and then Spencer Strider, 2 Braves.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it's got to be Harris Strider. But Harris over Strider for sure. He was awesome and position player and just great. And
Yeah,
secured the bag.
he did. Um, I just have to agree with you straight up on this one.
Yeah.
Harris, stupid Braves, like, they just keep finding these dudes. It's like, "Oh, they called him up? That was pretty early. What's he gonna do?
Dominate.
Oh, cool. You've got another Acuna out there.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's
Fuck."
faster.
Yeah. Damn it. Stupid sexy Braves. All right. Uh Manager of the year,
Yeah.
AL.
Okay.
Terry Francona, Brandon Hyde from the Orioles, and Scott Servais from the Mariners.
Oh man, I think the voters are gonna go Terry Francona, but I would go Brandon Hyde. So I'm gonna listen to my gut and go Brandon Hyde, Terry Francona.
Okay. Let me see. You said Brandon Hyde and then
Terry.
Terry. Okay.
Old Terry ball game.
And then Servais
Yeah.
third. Um, I'm gonna go the complete opposite of you. I think some real intrigue here.
Wow.
People, people. Wow, he did it! Oh my god,
He's crazy. He's
he's
crazy.
crazy! He did it!
Uh,
I don't know. I think speaking of like talking about Julio, the hype around the
yeah.
Mariners, like they've been so close. They finally got over the edge.
Big dumper.
Big dumper. Wait, what? What?
Cal Raleigh.
Oh yeah, okay.
We talk about Big
Uh,
Dumper all the time in our
we
house.
do.
I'm shocked that you're not. Like, come on now.
I avoid your house as
Good.
much as I can. All right, NL Manager of the Year: Dave Roberts, Buck Showalter, and Brian Snitker. What a snub for Marmol.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I really thought Marmol would do better.
Yeah. I actually don't like any of these candidates. It's like super team, super team, super team.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people could have managed well. So I'm gonna just try to vote with who I think the voters are going to go with, and I'm gonna say Buck and then Snit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with you on this one. Dave Roberts, like, come on, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
You
these
know?
teams are all super teams. They're like super high
Yeah,
payrolls, great players all over the place. Like, what are you talking about here?
it's why I thought Marmol was gonna have a legit chance this year
Yeah,
because, like, they're the only ones on this group that, like, they were not predicted necessarily. It was considered a toss up, if
yeah,
not leaning Brewers going into the season to win the NL Central, and the Cardinals run away with it.
yeah,
And he's a rookie manager. So obviously we're biased, but like this is such a narrative heavy above above all of the awards. This is it's a narrative award, right? And I just didn't think any of these guys like cool. You took your super teams and brought them to the
yeah.
majors.
But yeah,
The one I guess we'll give the Mets because it's the Mets and they constantly fail and they didn't this year, even though they did ultimately. But like, so that's why I agree with you that it'll be Showalter because you know,
yeah, I think
but
if I was like writing this down, I think Ali would be up there for sure. And also, I'm forgetting his name right now, the Padres manager this year, but he lost their superstar before the season even started. The team was changing; they were plugging in Ha-Sung Kim, who kind of came
yeah,
out of nowhere. He managed the pitching staff that was broken all year. Like, why can't I think of his name? Guy from the A's, who's a great manager.
Bob
Uh,
Melvin,
Bob Melvin. There we go.
yeah,
Jeez. Maybe that's why he didn't get nominated. Nobody could remember Bob
everyone
Melvin.
forgot.
But I thought
Oh shit,
he did a
yeah,
great job in a super tough division with a crazy team. Like that would have made more sense to me than Buck or Snit.
yeah,
Like Snit won the World Series last year. What is like the team is good.
yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
I guess there's the like the Braves had the insane second half run,
Yeah.
chasing down the Mets. But yeah, I guess I'm just not as
Yeah, like
like,
Anthopoulos deserves that award more than Snit. Like he's the one that called up those guys and extended the guys and
yeah.
made that all happen. But whatever.
Well, we'll have the rousing conclusion of this surely to be award-winning segment next
Talking
week.
shit on the segment mid segment is always a good sign.
We'll see.
I actually think it was really good, and I think well, we didn't put any stakes on it. Maybe that's the problem. What is the bet?
Should we do another steak?
Shit, I guess so. I mean, yeah, I guess that's
You
fine.
already owe me a ribeye,
No,
and
I'll buy one for you
so
and your wife.
a
Couple of steaks for the fam.
Are you talking about my wife? I don't-
Ugh.
Tab after dark.
Yeah.
All right.
Shut it down.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Again, thank you everybody for listening. Tell your friends, tell your wives, tell your husbands. Grab their phones.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Check out the Patreon.
Yeah.
Shout out to the patrons.
Yeah.
To the bird scored.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe the Cardinals will sign Trey Turner in between now and the next
Let's
episode.
go. John Hamm it up.
John Hamm it up. And with that, we'll be back next week. Same time as always. Until then, go John Hamm.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.